First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. This is Fox 12 Now. We want to take a live look right there. That perfectly sums up
Yes.
my entire drive-in right there, looking at that rain. That is our Shriners camera looking there at downtown Portland. And yeah, in case you haven't been outside, the rain's back.
Well, just a little.
A little bit.
Funnily enough, that's the right word to use. There's been no accumulation totals.
Really?
Yep.
No accumulation. Oops,
Yep.
I just lined us up wrong. There we go.
Is that better?
We're live. Hello, everyone. We are live here from the Fox 12 Oregon studios, and we appreciate everybody joining us. I'm Greg Nibbler here with Katie Zuniga for a special weather segment here that we do over here. And I think, as it says right there, a June wrap, July outlook.
Yeah, we thought since we're getting close to the end of the month, we kind of have, pretty stable, predictable weather that we're looking at the last part of June. I say that now. Moving into July, so that we'd wrap up June. Look at what July outlook is, because people ask me all the time, what's it going to look like? It's going to be wet, it's going to be dry. So here I am.
Here we are. We're going to find out.
Stand and deliver.
All right. Well, I'll pull it up right there.
Okay. So for what we had today, I just wanted to point out real quick that this rain and the showers that we've had is just what we call a marine push. It's not, the series of very weak little cold fronts that are coming in that are kind of pushing this, igniting it up, but it's not a full-blown system. We're not looking at, widespread rain from north to south, coast to Cascades. It literally has just been areas that have some lift that can get that air to 100% max capacity, and then it's dripping out. So if you look at radar, you don't see anything. You maybe see little green speckles here and there. I know some people have been caught in those showers today. It's mainly been north part of the coast and the metro. I haven't seen anything south of the metro, like in the valleys or anywhere, anything like that. Not expecting it to be much more than what we had today. Just as a reminder, June, obviously, we know that's when summer arrives, whether you say it arrives at the beginning or on the solstice. We start off in the low 70s, we end in the upper 70s. But what I wanted to really bring back is that our average rain is an inch and a little more than a half. And then it's usually our fourth driest month. And then we usually have 2 days at or above 90, which we have already had for you. So here's the number of 90-degree days we have had in June since about the last 10 years or so. I think anybody who was around this year remembers that nice,
oh yeah.
Yeah, where we had our hottest temperature, 116. That's our record, happened in June.
Where a lot of people learned the term heat dome.
Heat dome, yes, we've talked about that. We talked about that the last couple of days. But if you look at, other than this anomaly that we have right here, it's usually been between 1 to 3, 1 4-day there. We will possibly, subject to change because it's a little far out, get one more 90-degree day before the month is over. So we're basically tracking with our 90-degree days, this aside, where we should be for the month. Now, our warmest days, here it is, there's that 2021, 116, that record. You can see it's a mix more recently of low, maybe mid-90s. Back 10 years ago, it was in the hundreds, and then just a few weeks ago, we had that 96. So we're not expecting our next 90-degree day to be quite that warm, and I'll show you why it's looking like it'll be a little more of the low 90s. And then our coolest day in recent history in the last 10 years, that weekend we had, Friday, Saturday, with all that rain, was actually the cooler of the days, but it's not by any means a record for a coldest June day. Now, it was a record for that day, and it's been a long time since we've seen a day that's been that cold, but that didn't break any, overarching records for you. And then rain, we had no rain until we got to Friday. And then Friday, 0.8 of an inch. And then Saturday, almost 0.9 of an inch. Friday did not break a record, but Saturday did. And so we had, or was it no, I think it was reversed.
Saturday was pouring.
Saturday,
felt like, anyway.
One day had 8.82 and the other had 0.89. So they were very close in totals. But one of them, the record was, I think it was Saturday, was 0.4 of an inch. So we just obliterated the record for that day. But Friday, the record was more than an inch. It was like 1 inch and 0.4. So we didn't break the record on Friday. It was Saturday. We doubled what that record was. And that gave us all of that, because we were in the 18th hundredths of an inch, I think is what we had before we had that rain. So we got everything we needed. We could add another 100th of an inch to that with today or tomorrow when it is all said and done, but that's pretty much where we're landing. Okay, here it is. So this is what I was talking about. Right now, we just have this very broad, see how it's not very deep? It's a very broad trough, low pressure. That's just this nice little dip. It's giving us almost zonally flow, not quite perfectly straight across. You still have a slight dip, but it's just bringing in that cool, moisture-rich air, just giving us lots of saturation that we need to make some showers. As we start going into the weekend, you'll notice it starts pushing and growing up. Now, at this point, this is where things start to deviate with some models. Right now, it looks like that ridge is sitting just off to our west. This model has it kind of building and pushing over and being done, basically the axis of it and the peak of it almost over us on Sunday, and then dropping back into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So there are a couple things going on here. One is if this happens, you can see this little dip that we have right there. This could potentially bring us another day like today that has some extra cloud cover and some showers. Sorry about that. And some of them have it like a cutoff low, like a very, very weak cutoff low that's right below us. So if it develops like that, we could just briefly cool back down on Wednesday. Not in agreement yet as to if that's going to happen, but this is where that real hot air is going to be sitting off. So that's what we'll be watching is where does this build? How does it advance? Does this little dip come in on Wednesday and change things for us, or do we stay? But it's not looking like it's going to stall. And that's when we have those, long stretches of really hot weather,
right,
is when these stall over us and block everything, from coming in. So once we get through Wednesday, not quite to the end of next week yet, we are looking at still some warmer temperatures and things. So for the next 7 days, here's our 7-day forecast. We stay with the cool and low 70s, 74. It's our average right now. Or 76, I'm sorry. We get to 74 on Friday. That's when the clouds will start to clear out for us. And then you saw that ridge that we were talking about that should be building, coming up, peaking for the heat as we go into Monday, and then staying warm into Tuesday. And we're keeping an eye on that Wednesday. So that's your going in toward the end of June. Now looking ahead to July, it is our driest month of the year, of the 12 of our months. It's the second warmest. We start at 78 and we end at 84, and that's what we take into the first week of August before our average highs start dropping back down. So August is typically obviously the warmest. The hottest afternoon we've had in July is 107, and the warmest night was 74. Only a half inch of rain is average for the month of July. It's our driest month. We've had one that was wet in 83, and we've had one back in 67 that had like nothing at all. So those are kind of your stats for July. Here's looking back at the rain. Again, this seems like it's been a trend when we come, like we've been doing this together the last few months. We'll have
right,
like one or two that hit average and then a whole bunch that have been below. So that's what we have here again for July. And just the last several years, back to 2020, it's only been traced to, that's the most, 1/1700th of an inch. So we've had some pretty dry Julys in recent history. For the SPC outlook, or CPC Climate Prediction Center outlook, if you look at the gray, that's average, and then anything in the green trends toward above. This shouldn't actually have been taken off there. Sorry about that. So average here in that northwest corner of Washington, and then we start getting just a little more wet and a little more wet. So this is 6 to 10 days out. So go 1 week from now, and 6 days and then 10 days out. So that's looking at getting into the start of July.
Okay.
Okay, so we should be seeing trending, according to the CPC, just slightly above average in precipitation. And my temperatures must be down a little farther in my playlist. Here's where the frequency of rain, you can see we're starting to drop down. We're actually getting pretty close to what would be that dry spell, basically from July 1st to August 15th. That's the driest part, as the frequency of rain. As we get into the wetter months, it gets way up there. So there's your rain outlook. And then now temperatures, we have 90-degree days. 2018 had quite a few. 2022 and then 24. We had 13 days in July that we were at 90 or above. So that's, you know, getting close to half the month that we were above. And then 2018 sort of took that one. But then we had a few years where we didn't have very much. So quite a big spread on the 90 degree. Here we go. This is the one I was looking for. So here's your 60-day temperatures. So we don't, you know, we're not going to look up into Canada, but you can see all of the state here is in the above normal range. So a little warmer, a little wetter is the CPC.
Warmer and wetter.
Is the CPC's 6 to 10 day outlook right now. Then I wanted to show you my closing thoughts. So this is National Weather Service. This is July, August, and September. So looking past June, this is the temperature outlook, and it's seen, you can see that this area right here typically is looking like it's going to be above, and then you have pretty much nothing in the United States that is in the blue. So their outlook, their forecast outlook is that it is going to be a warmer summer than average. And this is the deviation, so above that. So leaning toward normal, you would see gray, leaning above normal, and likely above. So this is leaning above. All of this is likely above.
Yeah, looks like West Coast, Northeast, huh?
Yep. Yeah.
All gonna be.
So that's where you see the temperature range going. And then when you look at the precipitation, kind of gets back to what I was saying is warm, but maybe a little more wet off here. This is all equal chances of what we normally see. And then they're showing into July, August, and September, just leaning a little below when you look at the whole outlook for the 3 months of moving in through season of.
I mean, I like some nice dry weather, some summer weather, but seeing that does make me think, of course,
of fire season.
Yeah, fires.
Yeah. So that was kind of going to be my next point. Is
Sorry.
you know, people. Well, I don't have any
ahead.
more slides, but that was my point. Was, you know, as much as we all love sunny, warm, you know, could definitely use a little more rain.
Yeah.
And as far as we can pop back over here together if you want. As far as our outlook goes, you know, we were just dealing with those fires, and we talked about them with you.
Yeah.
You know, was it last week?
Yeah.
About that. You know, April, May were both below. We got into June. Fortunately, we got some, but one good weekend of rain is not going to prevent a bad fire season.
And we have seen already those fires. I mean, they're in the gorge on both sides of the river.
Yeah.
Still dealing with all the fallout from that one too. I mean, so.
Yeah, and then the other thing we are not going to touch on today, but we could probably talk about here soon, is hurricane season. Yeah. So we just had a hurricane that touched down in Mexico. It ended up touching down as a 4. It's the earliest ever. Usually, because it takes longer in the Pacific, we don't get as strong because of the flow and the water temperature and everything like that. They don't start getting them touching down until August. Wow. And we had one touchdown in June. So, I mean, all these things, these warmer
Everything
temperatures.
Early. Yeah. That's what even that fire in the gorge they were talking about. Like, this is a July fire that's happening now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
a lot to watch out for.
yes, so we'll be keeping an eye on it. And if we do end up having any type of, you know, hurricane outlooks we need to do or anything, we start getting even more dry or fire season, you know, we'll be here. Yeah. Talking about it.
Well, and that's why I love these segments too, because we get to get a little more in depth. You get to really explain it out, you know, a lot more as far as what's going on, what those trends are.
And I've got my fire maps ready. Hopefully I don't have to use them. Yeah. Again, we'll do another.
Yeah, ideally, we won't have to do any segment on those.
Nope, but they're ready if I need to. So.
Yeah, and want to remind everybody too, feel free to send in any questions as well. You can email those to fox12now@kptv.com or just send them in here into the station. You can comment, but if you do have questions, especially weather questions for Katie, feel free to do that. And then when we do these segments, then we can
address those, and if you give me, you know, a day or so ahead, then I can do some really good digging and get as much information for you as possible. So when we do get together, I'll have as much information as possible.
Yeah, there we go. All right, well, thank you as always, Katie. And thank you to everybody for joining us. So we've got a lot coming up on Fox 12 Now today as well. So we'll be back live at 1 o'clock right after the noon news. So whatever platform you're on, wherever you're watching us, just come back to there. that'll be a good way. But the Fox 12 app is also a good place to watch us live and after the fact. So feel free to join in today. We're going to be talking about orcas off the Oregon coast.
Oh, I love it.
That is one of the big things today. There's a lot happening. We're going to talk about Paranorman in Leica Studios. Yep. A new short coming out from them. I don't even remember, honestly. It's a packed show today. So come right back at 1 o'clock and we will talk to you then. But that's it for now. All right. Thanks, everybody. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.